Call the January 12th, 2022 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Chairman Jacks.
Here.
Commissioner Barlow. Commissioner Kelly.
Here.
Commissioner Hassett.
Here.
Commissioner Meal.
Here.
Commissioner Martin.
Here.
Commissioner Abbott.
Here.
Commissioner Alexander.
Here.
Commissioner Morris. Commissioner Gillette.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The automated announcement message, please.
Anyone who has not signed in, please do so at the table located in the lobby. Should anyone wish to speak, please complete a request to speak form, which is also located on the lobby table next to the sign-in sheet. A request to speak form must be completed for each item you would like to speak on. Please note, there are stairs on the right, left, and center aisles, and we ask that you use caution when using the stairs. There is also a ramp located to the audience's left. If anyone has written comments, exhibits, petitions, photos, or letters they intend to present at today's meeting, have 17 copies and give them to a staff member at the back of the auditorium. Staff member, please hold up your hand for the audience. If you do not have 17 copies, you may use the overhead camera to present your documents. Please place your documents on the podium and line it up with the arrows indicated. If you want your documentation to go on record, you must hand them to the clerk after your presentation with the agenda item number clearly marked on the documentation. Members of the public cannot speak to staff members that are seated at the tables with microphones during the meeting. If you have questions, please see the staff member located in the back of the auditorium. All speakers will be limited to 2 minutes to make their presentation statements. Everyone, please turn off all cell phones or place them on vibrate during the meeting. If you must take a call, please leave the meeting area and go outside to have your conversation. We also ask the audience to refrain from talking with one another during the presentations and discussions. Today, the Planning and Zoning Commission will hear public testimony and then forward a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. Everyone attending the meeting is asked to remember that the administrative building and campus are tobacco-free areas, which means no smoking is allowed from curb to curb. No food or drinks are allowed in the auditorium except for bottled water. If there are any items remaining on the agenda, the Commission will break for lunch for 1 hour per the Chairman's discretion.
The items with a recommendation made by the Commission will be heard by the Board of Supervisors on Monday, February 9th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m. in the same location with the exception of any continued items. Need a motion to approve the meeting minutes from December 8th, 2021.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Have a motion by Commissioner Gillette. Looking for a second.
Second the motion.
Second by Commissioner Abbott. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item number 1, reported by Matthew Gunderson.
Item number 1 is an evaluation of a request for a special use permit for assessor's parcel number 227-16048A to allow for a second helipad in a C2H highway commercial zone in the Fort Mojave vicinity. Staff has received 1 letter of concern and 1 letter of support for this item. along with the exhibit that was just passed out. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
Thank you. Opening the public hearing, is the applicant present? Do you wish to speak?
Good morning, Chairman Jacks, commissioners. My name is Mehdi Azarmi. My address is 5890 Highway 95, Suite A, Fort Mojave. This project is for Classic Air. They've been supportive of the community of the Fort Mojave, Mojave Valley, and in general, Bullhead City. That's why I'm basically before you. With the current situation with the corona, there's been a great need of additional helicopter, landing and taking off there. As you can see in the drawing, the property that the hospital has is quite large. And, right now, in order to be able to transport patients, one helicopter needs to basically take off, and then the other one has to take off and land in the helipad to be able to load up. So obviously, you understand if there is a situation that there is a need for one landing or two patients at the same time, there is going to be a delay that can be devastating. The location is ideal location for it. It is consistent with your land use ordinance. And as a local business person, I was the beneficiary of this service. My customer service manager fell off the ladder and bumped his head to a concrete wall. And I personally saw how important that was in terms of the time to be able to transport the patient to Las Vegas. So again, I read the letter of concern from the church nearby about the helicopters taking off and landing, but I think those who are the beneficiary of it think about it a different way. Right now, what they have to do is to have the second helicopter land, on site. If I may continue.
Finish up in the next 20 seconds.
Sure. They basically have to land, on site, and then, one has to take off to second one take off and put in the helipad. So this is going to facilitate multiple helicopter taking off and landing at the same time for the patients. If you have any question, let me know.
Okay, any questions by?
I have a question. As I understand what I've read on this, and this is a question I have, Mehdi, is that really just to make the second one to do what the first one is already doing?
Correct.
Just a second parking place, so to speak.
Well, no, they can, this way they can serve, two locations when there is a need for it. Let's say, because, each helicopter can take, let's say, one patient at a time.
How close is it to the one that's already there, though?
It's about maybe 200 feet. And if you look at the site plan, you'll see that the parcel that they have is quite large. And the hospital that the church that you're talking about is so far out. It's not close.
Any other questions or comments, Mr. Neal?
Excuse me. I was reading this stuff before, and it was stated as where Callydale Media is not paved. Got the street in front of it.
That's basically Callydale Media is on the east side of it. Has nothing to do with this project.
Is it paved or no?
Callydale Media, part of it is paved and part of it is not paved. But again, as I said, has nothing to do with this item on the agenda.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a Mr. Jim Sellers wishing to speak. If you'd give us your name and address, sir.
My name is Jim Sellers. I live at 5300 Cali Valley Vista, which is, did you get the little maps that I handed out? The little blue dots where I live, which is about 50 feet from the property line of the hospital. And I was shocked that they said they wanted a second helipad because there's 3 there now, and one's a double. Are they talking about making the double pad, putting lights up on it? That's my question. I don't understand why they're calling it a second helipad.
Okay.
That's a question.
Staff have any information on that?
Chairman Jacks, so the site currently has a special use permit and operates a helipad currently. So this special use permit is to add a second one to the site.
Well, there's 3 there now, and one's double pad. They just finished pouring a pad next to the existing helipad that's big enough to hold 2 helicopters. So it's very common to see 4 helicopters there at once, because there's one next door across the street too.
Commissioner Hassett?
I think this question would be for the person putting in the application. You want to know if the new pad that was poured will have lights installed and licensed.
Well,
as a helipad?
that's what I'm assuming is the pad they just poured. They're just going to put lights on it. I'm assuming that. Is that what you're planning on doing? Yeah.
The concrete area that the gentleman is talking about is the second helipad. Right now, it's just like a parking, and it is not officially used as, for the helipad. Yes, it's going to have fence around it and all that, and again, that is governed by the FAA. That would be taken care of. So the other one that the gentleman is talking about is by a different entity, Care Flight, which is far away from the hospital. It has to be in a proximity of the emergency room to be able to transport, patients out of the hospital with a bed into the helipad. I don't know if that makes sense to,
Answers my question.
So the request is to put up lights on the pad you just poured.
Correct. There
And
would
fence.
Be. Correct. There would
Okay,
be.
not pour another pad.
No. This is going to be
All right.
what you see there as a concrete. That is the helipad. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
My request, obviously I'm not naive enough to think that I could stop the helicopters. They serve a good purpose, but they're devastating to all of the residential to the east of the hospital. If you look at the map, what I drew, everything, north is commercial, south is commercial, west is industrial. If you could make a condition of the approval of the second helipad to make the residential area to the east a no-fly zone and post this in the barracks of the pilots so they know not to fly directly over our house and drive us nuts. I mean, they fly me, they're right over the top of the house. I mean, Christmas morning we had to stop opening presents because you couldn't even hear, last night, 9 o'clock, I'm just fell asleep and here comes another one. It's 7 days a week and 24 hours a day, and I don't see one of the, I stop and talk to the pilots. They say, hey, we have to land into the wind. Great. The wind never blows in this valley from the west, ever. It blows from the north and the south, and once in a blue moon from the east. And one of the pilots told me when there's somebody from out of town, they're not going to know. I get that. It's once in a blue moon. Somebody's flying in from that doesn't normally land there. They're not going to know where to go. That's okay. But if I could get council to make this a condition of approval, post this in the barracks with the pilots so they know, hey, don't fly over these guys' houses. It drives us nuts. That's what I'm requesting.
Okay.
And I don't think that that's too much of a request to just clue all the pilots in to, hey, have a little respect for us,
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Staff, any comments on how that would be addressed?
I don't think we mandate airspace.
I don't think so either.
Mr. Chair, Commission, that's the FAA airspace, so it's not something that we would have purview of regulating ourselves.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yes, sir.
I have Corey here from Classic Air, and it is something that from the management point of view, it would be addressed. So, they can take care of it. Because as I said, they're part of the community. They've been very supportive of the community. Some of us who are living in that community know how valuable they are, not only on the taking care of the patients, but in supporting some of the community projects. And they're very cooperative. So they're going to internally, have like a memo to the pilots and all that to make sure that, they choose a better route instead of doing that. So they will take care of that.
Okay, thank you. We have anybody else wishing to speak on item number 1? Okay, closing the public hearing. Does any commissioner have questions or comments at this time? Okay, Chair will now call for a motion on item 1.
I make a motion to approve item 1 with staff recommendations.
A second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hassett. I got a second by Commissioner Gillette. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2, reported by Alexander Bolin.
Item 2 is an evaluation of a request for a special use permit for assessor's parcel number 306-31012S to allow for a 70-foot tall freestanding communication tower in an AR 5A agricultural residential 5-acre minimum lot size zone in the Golden Valley vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions, and staff has added condition number 3, stating that upon the applicant's request, fees may be waived per the Board of Supervisors' discretion. If the waiver is denied, then the applicant shall pay all required fees in full prior to construction.
Okay, thank you. Open a public hearing. Is the applicant present? Do you wish to speak?
Good morning. My name is David Martin. I'm the Assistant Chief for Golden Valley Fire District, 749 South Egar, Golden Valley. This project has been in our planning for a while. It's for a 70-foot communications tower. We plan on putting a second fire repeater on this tower to better facilitate communications on emergency calls. Also, it will be part of our network system to our fire stations so they can run their programs and receive their calls. Any questions?
Any questions or comments by commissioners? No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any others wishing to speak on item 2? Okay, hearing or seeing none, close the public hearing. Does any commissioner have a question or comment at this time? The chair will now call for a motion on item 2.
Motion to approve per staff recommendation.
Second motion.
Got a motion by Commissioner Martin, a second by Commissioner Abbott. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 3, reported by Matthew Gunderson.
Item number 3 is an evaluation of a request for a rezone of assessor parcel numbers 209, 01, 119, 122, 139, 140, and 148 from an AR 36A, agricultural residential 36-acre minimum lot size zone, and an MX heavy manufacturing zone to an ES solar energy overlay zone to allow for a solar photovoltaic energy development project in the Griffith vicinity. As required by the zoning ordinance, a rezone to an energy overlay zone requires that the applicant hold one informal community meeting within the county. This meeting was held on December 2nd. At the proposed site, the applicant has reported that there was no one in attendance at that community meeting. We have received one letter of objection, and staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
Okay, thank you. Opening a public hearing. Is the applicant present?
Yes, sir.
Do you wish to speak on the item?
Yes, please. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members of the committee. Thank you for having this item on the agenda. My name is Derek Fromm. I reside in Scottsdale, 11614 East Terra Drive. In a nutshell, we're looking at a rezone for a solar overlay in this particular area just west of the heavy industrial sector in south of Golden Valley. The existing land use is urban development area. The zoning is annexed for the bulk of the parcels. There are two very small parcels, 40 acres in total, that are zoned AR36. The area is away from where there are dense community areas. We're adjacent to the prison. There are two large power plants in the immediate vicinity. There's within 2 miles, the heavy industrial zone. Within 1 mile, there is the planned refinery location on over 1,000 acres. There's the quarry next door, and the area is heavily impacted by flood zones, and that makes a solar development particularly attractive because it wouldn't, the way solar farms are constructed, they don't divert the flow of water when there's a sheet flow. And we believe it's in a particularly attractive location for an energy project to help energize the heavy industrial corridor. Therefore, there are similar uses. We believe it's consistent with the general plan of the county, and we request your approval for the application.
Okay. Any questions or comments for the applicant? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Are there any others wishing to speak on item 3?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Michael Robinson, and I moved down here after shutting my business out of Vegas down, and used to live down here many years ago. And we have had many good times down here, but now they're talking about building that solar array across from our home, which is just right across about a 50-foot street area that is not county maintained.
Sir, what's your address?
Oh, my name is Michael Robinson, and the address is 4873 West Yucca Drive in Golden Valley. Anyhow, I've had to maintain a non-county maintained road by putting a couple of culverts in because my neighbor, he is passing away with cancer, so I've had to try to keep open the roads so ambulances and nursing facilities could come out there and take care of him. My wife and I'm up in my 70s now. We're getting older. I've had a lot of heart problems, and I've worked at different constructions, and I've seen a lot of dust and stuff from these constructions. Well, that dirt is not good for you to breathe in. So I would like to live a little bit longer, and I've got 3 dogs, one which has had a problem with the dust breathing in by digging in it out here. So we really would like to see all these things taken care of by the county commissioner by not allowing them to put one in right across the street from us. Now, I moved down here because it was a clear area and we got good views, but our views are going to be blocked, which is not that important. But also our property values are going to be devaluated in this area. And also, just, what can I say? The dirt itself is the biggest problem that we got out there. So I've worked in construction, I've been around dirt. I know they say they're going to water, but they never do enough watering to keep the dust down. So if it's possible, I would like to see the county commissioner. They can move them down the road from us on Sacramento. There's probably 10, 15,000 acres out there that they don't need to build right across the street from us. And I know we're only 2 people out there right now, and I doubt if anybody was want to move out there if we were to sell, or my son sells the place that we live in. So that's about what I got to say.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have any others wishing to speak on item 3? Okay, hearing or seeing none, close the public hearing. Does any commissioner have questions or comments at this time?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question, and maybe the staff can answer this. 2 questions, actually. One is, how much traffic is this going to incur? And the second one is, how many of these are we allowed to have?
Chairman Jacks, Commissioner Gillette, I don't know specifics on the number of, the amount of traffic that this would generate. That would be something that would be reviewed at the site plan stage, reviewed mostly by the Public Works Department. And for your second question, is that how many solar facilities we're allowed to have? As far as I'm aware, there's not any type of limit on that. It's on the developers to have power purchase agreements and things like that, and the opportunity to use that power, but we don't have a set limit on number of facilities that we could have.
We have a lot of open land, but the fact that it's open doesn't mean that it doesn't belong to somebody who plans on moving there. And putting these in residential areas, which obviously this is, I wonder if that's the thing that we really should be doing.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, sir.
May I speak for a minute?
Yes.
Thank you. In terms of your comment regarding residential area, I'd like to, if I can, well, probably there is a map. I think we just saw a map in your package on the zoning. Let me see if this is helpful. It's not very clear, but this is the only residence that the prior speaker, the opponent, referred to. To be more precise, it's the, if you look at it a little bit more in greater detail, the only residence is here. The parcel in question, this large parcel, has they're both. This is owned by one owner, and this is owned by one owner. These parcels have been earmarked for sale for many, many years without any development materializing. And in discussion with the owners, they felt that given the lack of residential interest in this particular area, that a solar overlay might create the quote-unquote best use in their opinion, which is why they've entered into agreements with us for a potential solar application. In terms of what this would do for the area, again, for the county, it brings in an increase in tax base. It brings in revenue from the construction and ancillary spending during construction period, and the size is large enough to actually require on-site staffing for the duration of a project.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Any question? Commissioner Gillette.
Question. So how much traffic is this going to incur?
Very little other than during construction, obviously, which would stop on the corner of Sacramento and Yucca. It is not inconceivable that we might want to undertake paving of that last mile to deal with traffic and to suppress dust, which might be an improvement for the county at our expense. And clearly during construction we will abide by whatever the building permit requires in terms of dust suppression. And we will be very interested in dust suppression because dust would negatively impact the solar production of our panels. So we will be highly motivated to keep the area as dust-free as we can.
I think that would be a very good neighborly thing to do, to take care of that road, since that seems to be one of the problems that you have with your neighbor.
Well, we've found that as an issue just driving to the site, so we can help the overall vicinity in the area by improving infrastructure as a maybe intended byproduct of our project. We're all for it.
Okay, I like that.
Thank you.
Sure.
I have a question, sir.
Commissioner Abbott?
I'm thinking back to one that was approved 2 or 3 years ago, and I was out there at the opening. They flew in helicopters. They brought people from Germany. They're going to have a huge solar field out there very, very soon. They graded all that property off. So we talk about dust. There was several hundred acres graded off. Now, yours is going to require the same thing, isn't it? Grade the land before you install your solar panels?
That's correct.
Well, that'll create some dust. That is a concern. I'm not saying right now I'm for it or against it, but a concern. How soon do you plan on starting this project, if it's approved?
We are aiming for the project to be in service in 2024, which means we'll need to effectively build it starting the last quarter of this year and during 2023.
So your company that you're representing is going to be the one that's installing it?
Correct.
It just kind of concerns me when I see a place like the one I'm referring to, with all the trailers sitting out there with solar panels on them, that this is supposed to happen and that's supposed to happen, and they just seemingly walk away from it. And I happen to like the desert land the way it is. If something profitable or something that isn't good for the community and good for the county doesn't go there.
Well, unlike the Pegasus project that you're referring to, we will not put a shovel in the ground until we have the whole project lined up, including where the power will go. So nothing will change until it's a go. Whereas the project you're referring to, they started building out the site and then realized they had nowhere to go.
Thank you.
Sure. Mm-hmm. So nothing will happen. It's either going to go or it will not, or you won't see a change.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Sir?
Yes.
I have a question for you as well.
Certainly.
In regards to the infrastructure improvement, you mentioned paving. What part are you going to be paving? From what point to what point?
Well, I'll probably put this map back on. As far as we can tell, the I-40 is on this side of the road. Paving basically stops here at, I think, Centennial and Yucca. And we would continue paving over Yucca to the corner of Sacramento, where we would enter our parcel.
So basically,
Pardon?
you're saying that you'll be paving from I-40 up to Centennial?
No, the road is already paved up to Centennial.
Oh, it's
from the
already
I-40.
paved up?
It's just that last mile on Yucca, that's dirt.
Okay, so you would be paving one additional mile, and then that would make the road from I-40 to your property paved?
Correct.
And a second question, you're saying that dust matters a lot to the effectiveness of your solar panels. What do you do to maintain the ground from the dust issue? I mean, do you put something, an additive or some sort of product onto the ground that eliminates dust? I don't know if there is such a product out there, or is it just, and how do you maintain that from the weeds growing? Do you have to
Well,
clear it?
there's a certain degree of tolerance in terms of the weeds that can grow until they start impacting the ability of the panels to rotate with the sun. These will be what's known as single-axis trackers. We built a similar farm of Joy Lane in Fort Mojave, so we'd be doing pretty much what we've been doing there.
So what is that, like an annual maintenance where you
That's
go
correct.
in and you regrade down certain areas, or how do you maintain those?
Very little is actually needed. So once it's impacted, once the farm is in operation, there's very limited grass that will grow.
Is it like you apply a pre-emergence or something to the ground, or what?
If necessary, we'll just have to look at, it might differ amongst these various parcels.
Because my concern is the ongoing dust issue.
And we agree with you, and we'll do whatever it takes to avoid it, because it's in everyone's interest, including our own. So we're motivated to do what's right, because it helps everyone.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask him, you say you've had experience with having one of these panel farms.
Correct.
So what happens to the native animals? What do they do? You fence this off so they can't get into that area?
Well, we prefer for the burros not to nibble at our power lines. I mean, for their benefit.
Right.
So
you fence it off?
We will fence it off to protect them as well as our property, given the remote area it's located in. We will comply with all of the guidelines of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife and the Arizona Department of Game and Fish.
Okay.
So we've done that before. And I'm personally a very animal-friendly person, so I will do whatever helps them too. So I cannot do more than give you my undertaking that we'll do whatever we can to preserve wildlife and not block their road. If there are any habitats, we'll try to relocate, particularly if there are tortoises or burrowing owls. We've done that before, but that's something we cannot do in advance. You have to do it within 30 days before you put a shovel in the ground, and we will do everything we can to do.
Thank you.
To help the animal life too.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. The chair will now call for a motion on item number 3.
This guy wants to speak.
Oh, wait, okay. All right.
And Chairman Jacks, just as a little reminder, if before you call for a motion, if you would close the public meeting after.
Yes, thank you, yes.
Thank you.
I'll do that first, thank you.
Okay, they're talking about paving the road from Centennial up to Sacramento. Well, we live beyond Sacramento, and we're driving up a one-lane road that I straightened out. Okay, that's not paved, and they've got signs out there all the way down toward the Wash area. And they're not talking about doing anything on that road. So there's gonna be traffic going up and down that road. And, okay, I'm on Social Security. I'm not gonna be able to maintain that road forever and they're going to be driving up and down that road. Now, if they want to drive up a different road and cut across the desert that they're going to put these solar panels on, that's fine. I don't care. But I do care about some of the wild tortoises that we've had visited us at our house, and then I've moved them on back out into the desert. So I have a great respect for wildlife, but we have donkeys out there that are just not native, maybe, but they were brought in years ago. And now they're going to be pushed out of an area where they go and they feed. And we have coyotes out there that come around. We got rabbits. I mean, there's a lot of wildlife that's not endangered, but the tortoise is endangered. Now, how are they going to get under these fences unless they raise them up 6 to 8 inches above the ground? That's the only thing I can think of that, you know, that they really need to be responsible for if they're going to kill these things, just running over them with their equipment. Most of the places do not take enough time to examine what's out there. And they might not be out there every day, so they're moving across the fields. So they need to do something about that. And like I said, our road is not paved. What are they going to do? Just let it go like that and then drive their equipment up it, destroying what I've put together out there to try to keep ambulances and stuff coming in? So if you have any questions about that, go ahead.
Any questions, comment? Yes, Commissioner Martin.
So are you aware that much of the area is currently zoned heavy manufacturing?
No, I just moved in back out that way. I just walked up and bought this place out there, 2.5 acres. And no, I didn't know the zoning. And this is the first zoning commission thing, any government that I've been involved in. But now it's affected my life even more. But I did not know that.
So I just want to, kind of point out a few items here that you may not be aware of. The applicant is asking for a solar plant.
Right.
Which I see minimal traffic in my mind. If someone else uses the current zoning and puts a heavy manufacturing plant, you could possibly have a lot more traffic than what the applicant is proposing to do there.
I understand that, but I've never seen any solar field go up that hasn't had a lot of traffic. Because I watched them build that along the freeway on 40, and there's all this equipment out there, and there's a lot of traffic going up and down that paved road that's out there by that factory. So, I mean, I've watched that, and I understand.
So when you purchased your property, you didn't look into what the zoning was in the surrounding area?
No, all I seen was a deserted gravel pit across the street, and that's all that's ever been for many acres. That's all I was told by the person who sold it to me, Robert Corrigan. That there wasn't going to be no more building out that way.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this item, number 3? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. Does any commissioner have any questions or comments at this time? Chair will now call for a motion on item 3.
Motion to approve.
A motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Kelly, second by Commissioner Hassett. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
No.
Motion does carry. Moving on to item number 4, reported by Matthew Gunderson.
Item 4 is an evaluation of a request for a special use permit for assessor's parcel number 317-49107 to allow for a night watchman's quarters in a CMO commercial manufacturing open lot storage zone in the White Hills vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
Open the public hearing. Is the applicant present?
Yes, sir.
Would you wish to speak on this item? No. Okay. Are there any other wishing to speak on item number 4? Hearing or seeing none, close the public hearing. Does any commissioner have questions or comments at this time? Okay, the chair will now call for a motion on item 4.
I'll make a motion to approve for staff recommendation.
I'll second the motion.
Got a motion by Commissioner Abbott, a second by Commissioner Gillette. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item number 5A, reported by Matthew Gunderson.
Item number 5A is an evaluation of a request for an amendment to the Mojave County General Plan from a GC, General Commercial Land Use Designation, to an SR, Suburban Residential Land Use Designation, and an amendment to the Dolan Springs Area Plan from a General Commercial Land Use Designation to a Suburban Residential Land Use Designation for Assessor's Parcel Number 316-13166F in the Dolan Springs vicinity. Staff recommends approval.
Okay, thank you. Open the public hearing. Is the applicant present? I do not see the applicant present. Are there any others wishing to speak on item 5A? Hearing or seeing none, close the public hearing. Does any commissioner have questions or comments at this time? Okay. Chair will now call for a motion on item 5A.
I make a motion that we approve item 5A per staff recommendations.
Second motion.
Got a motion by Commissioner Gillette, second by Commissioner Abbott. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 5B, reported by Matthew Gunderson.
Item number 5B is an evaluation of a request for a rezone of Assessor's Parcel Number 316-13166F from an A General Zone to an AR Agricultural Residential Zone to permit a recreational vehicle as a temporary residence in the Dolan Springs vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
Thank you. Opening a public hearing. Is the applicant present? Not see the applicant. Are there any others wishing to speak on this item, item 5B? Hearing or seeing none, close the public hearing. Does any commissioner have questions or comments at this time?
I have a question, sir.
Commissioner?
What is a temporary residence?
Chairman Jacks, Commissioner Meal, so anytime someone uses an RV as a primary residence on their property, they require a temporary RV permit. So that permit to live in an RV is something that needs to be renewed every year. The RV needs to stay drivable on the road, and then we make sure that it's not parked in a flood zone and things like that.
Any other questions or comments?
I do.
Commissioner
staff.
Martin?
Are there any other permits in that area right now, or is this the only one? Is the intention of the applicant to build a residence and temporarily use their RV to live in while building?
Chairman Jacks, Commissioner Martin, there are other properties in the general area that have the agricultural residential zone. I would need to do additional research to know if any of those have the temporary RV permit. To my knowledge, they plan on living in their RV for the foreseeable future, but I don't know about an actual timeline on when they would want to build a permanent residence.
Any other questions or comments? Chair will now call for a motion on item 5B.
Motion to deny.
Got a motion by Commissioner Martin, a second by Commissioner Gillette. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Good job.
Motion carries.
Chairman Jacks, can I just confirm what the motion was? It was to deny?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, we all squared away on that one? Okay. Moving on to item 6, reported by Matthew Gunderson.
Item number 6 is an evaluation of a request for a rezone of assessor's parcel number 204-13109 from an AR 36A agricultural residential 36-acre minimum lot size zone to an AR 10A agricultural residential 10-acre minimum lot size zone to allow for a minor land division in the old Highway 93 vicinity. Staff has received one letter of objection. That letter does meet the 20% of property owners and area within 300 feet that will require a 4/5 vote by the Board of Supervisors. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
Okay, thank you. Opening the public hearing, is the applicant present? Yes. Do you wish to speak on the item? If you give us your name and address, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joseph Dean. Live at 9750 East Grace Lane. And because of a hardship financially of a divorce, I don't want to sell this or break it up, but I don't know what else to do. Just a financial hardship.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you, sir. Do we have anyone else wishing to speak on this item? I do have Tina Daniels wishing to speak.
Thank
Give us
you.
your name and address.
My name is Tina Daniels. I live at 9764 East Bob's Road. The property in question that he wishes to rezone it's adjacent to our property, the whole length. My husband and I don't know if you received my letter.
Did.
Okay.
Yes.
So anything I say would just be reiterating what's in the letter. My husband and I spent several years looking for the perfect place to retire. It took us several years to find it. We live on the east side of the Wallaby Mountains. It's beautiful there. It's quiet. It's peaceful. Bob's Road, which basically is the only access to our property and this property, is a county road, but it's not maintained. We maintain it just to our driveway, which is right at the property line. Like I say, it's beautiful out there. There's lots of wildlife. We moved there with the intention, knowing that on the south side, it was state land, it wasn't going to be developed. To the east of us, there's an 80-acre parcel there. We knew that she didn't want to develop, she didn't even want us to move in. So we knew that there was going to be the peace and seclusion. When Mr. Dean moved in, was looking at the property, he also stated the same reasons that we did, that we love the area. It's a big piece of property. We knew that we weren't going to be intruded upon. If we had wanted a lot of neighbors, we would have moved into the subdivision that's basically 4 miles from us. But that's not what we wanted. We have wildlife, there's beauty. We're the only ones that maintain the access to that road. It's a dirt road. It's quite a challenge when the weather is not permissible. But Mr. Dean also had stated that when he built his house, it's basically on the proper line that's adjacent to the west. This is where we're going to probably not succeed in our request not to grant this. Mr. Dean had built his house next to the property, and he had wanted to buy 10 acres of that person's property so that his home would not be close to anybody who, if she decided to build. He wanted to maintain the same peace, the same quiet, the same privacy. Now I understand that Mr. Dean has gone through a bad hardship. We supported him the whole way, but at the same time, it wasn't of our doing. We were of like minds when he bought the property. And now, because of his choices, we're going to suffer. We like the way that it is. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do you have any others that wish to speak on item 6? Any others for item 6? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for staff.
Yes.
I can't read my map for the size, but isn't that property, looking at my map, the zoning map, that property to the left has already been split into several different parcels?
5 acre and 7.
Chairman Jacks, Commissioner Abbott, yeah, so the properties to the west of the site that's this application is for, the property on the north half of that western side is zoned AR5A, 5 acre minimum lot size, and the one south of Grace Lane is AR7A, so a 7 acre minimum lot size.
And he's asking for 10.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. Does any commissioner have questions or comments at this time? Okay, the chair will now call for a motion on item 6.
I make a motion to approve item 6 with staff recommendations.
Second motion.
Got a motion by Commissioner Gillette, second by Commissioner Abbott. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, reported by Alexandra Bolin.
Item 7 is an evaluation of a request for a special use permit for assessor's parcel number 31757-018 to allow for a night watchman's quarters in a CMO 1A commercial manufacturing open lot storage 1 acre minimum lot size zone in the White Hills vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
Okay, thank you. Open up the public hearing. Is the applicant present? You wish to speak on this item? Okay. The applicant is present. If there are any questions. Do we have anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Hearing or seeing none. Close the public hearing. Does the commissioners have any questions or comments at this time? No. Hearing none. The chair will now call for a motion on item 7.
I'll make a motion to approve item 7 according to staff recommendation.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Alexander, second by Commissioner Hassett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 8A, reported by Alexander Bolin.
Item 8A is an evaluation of a request for an amendment to the Long Mountain Area Plan from an RR 10A, Rural Residential 10 acre minimum land use designation, to an SE, Suburban Estates land use designation, for assessor's parcel number 331-32003G in the Kingman vicinity. Staff has received 1 letter of opposition. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
Okay, thank you. Open the public hearing. Is the applicant present? You wish to speak on the item, sir?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
My name is Brian Thrasher. My address is 3153 East Cali Parral, Kingman, Arizona. I purchased this property through the tax liens, and it's part of a well community that we live in out there. There's 14 meters on a well, And this is the last of a property that has 2 meters on it that was never divided like was agreed upon in the original well agreement years ago. I'm not sure what happened. I've only lived here 10 years. But I've purchased the property and I'm just trying to finish dividing it so that each of the well meters is on one parcel of property before any development or anything happens with it from this point on.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments for the applicant? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Are there any others wishing to speak on item 8A?
I'm missing something, so I just want to ask the staff to clarify what the gentleman is actually asking for.
Chairman Jacks, Commissioner Abbott, this is the amendment to the Long Mountain Area Plan for item 8A. The next item will be for a minor land division.
I have a question.
Commissioner Gillette?
I don't want to be ignorant here, but what is a suburban estate? I haven't run into that.
Chairman Jacks, Commissioner Gillette. So the Long Mountain Area Plan has different land use designations. So the current designation for this parcel is, make sure I'm saying it, so is rural residential with a 10-acre minimum lot size. He's looking to change that to a suburban estates land use designation, which would allow for a little more density. So to accommodate the proposed minor land division that the rezone would be for, the area plan would need to change as well to allow for those smaller lots or a little bit higher density.
So the suburban estate is not 10 acres, it's less than that?
Chairman Jacks, Commissioner Gillette, that is correct. Typically, the suburban estates designations range between 1 and 5 acres for property sizes.
Thank you.
So 8B is going to ask for it to be allowed 5 acres minimum. Thank you.
Okay. We have closed the public hearing then. Does any commissioners have any other questions or comments this time? Okay, Chair will now call for a motion on item 8A.
I'll make a motion to approve for staff recommendation.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Abbott, second by Commissioner Gillette. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And that moves us on to item 8B by Matthew Gunderson.
Item 8B is an evaluation of a request for a rezone of assessor's parcel number 331-32003G from an AR-10A agricultural residential 10-acre minimum lot size zone to an AR-5A agricultural residential 5-acre minimum lot size zone to allow for a minor land division in the Kingman vicinity. Staff has received 1 letter of opposition. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
Okay, thank you. Open the public hearing. The applicant is present. Any further comments on this? Okay. Do we have anyone else wishing to speak on item 8B? Hearing or seeing none. Close the public hearing. Does any commissioners have any questions or comments at this time? Hearing none, the chair will now call for a motion on item 8B.
I make a motion to approve item 8B with staff recommendations.
A motion by Commissioner Gillette, looking for a second.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Commissioner Alexander. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9 by Matthew Gunderson.
Item number 9 is an evaluation of a request for a rezone of assessor's parcel number 34064 from an AR 36A agricultural residential 36-acre minimum lot size zone to an AR 34A agricultural residential 34-acre minimum lot size zone to bring the property into compliance in the Kingman vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
Okay, thank you. Open to public hearing. Is the applicant present? Do you wish to speak on the item, sir? Okay. Applicant is available for questions. Do we have anyone else wishing to speak on item 9? Hearing or seeing none, close the public hearing. Does any commissioner have any questions or comments at this
I
time?
have a question for staff.
Mr.
To me,
Abbott.
it's pretty obvious. It's zone 36A. It must only have 36 acres. And, I mean, it has 34 acres. I'd just like for staff to clarify that.
Chairman Jacks, Commissioner Abbott, so the parcel originally had, it was about a 40-acre parcel originally. At some point, a portion of that parcel was split off, resulting in this parcel being only 34 acres. So because it's smaller than the 36-acre minimum lot size, we view that as non-compliant, and so before we can issue any kind of permits on the property, they need to bring that property into compliance with zoning, which is what they're looking to do here.
I understand, and that's what I thought probably had happened. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments by commissioners? No? Okay, Chair will now call for a motion on item 9.
I make a motion to approve for a staff recommendation.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Abbott, second by Commissioner Gillette. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10, monthly reports received by email. Our monthly reports yesterday, so that's been in the hands of the commissioners. Moving on to item 11, commissioners' comments limited to announcements, availability/attendance at conferences and seminars, requests for agenda items for future meetings, and requests for reports or from the staff. Do we have any commissioner comments?
I have a question for staff.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I am thinking this out correctly, but when we are approving any rezoning for storage units that typically have to be in M1P industrial zoning, if we approved anything for storage units, would that allow that person to then down the line use the property for manufacturing?
Chairman Jacks, Commissioner Martin, if I understand your question correctly, if we rezone a property, what was the zone that you said?
Typically, storage units go in M1P or industrial zoning.
So I'm not familiar with N1P.
That's manufacturing.
So we have, our manufacturing zones are M1 or M2 or MX.
Okay.
Typically, our storage facilities either go into CMO, which is commercial manufacturing open lot storage,
Okay.
or C2 or C2H. C2, C2H are commercial zones. They require that the storage facility be enclosed, so you couldn't have any outdoor storage. It would be your storage facilities with the doors. If we rezone to one of those commercial zones, they would still have all the commercial uses that are allowed by right. If we rezone to a CMO, which today we had one item where we had previously rezoned to CMO for outdoor storage, and now they were asking for night watchman's quarters on their property. That CMO zone would allow for outdoor storage, for the storage facility, but it also allows for any use allowed within that CMO zone, which is commercial manufacturing, open lot storage. It allows for manufacturing operations, not as intense as a heavy manufacturing, but more of your lighter manufacturing, warehousing, and anything outdoor storage related.
So does Lake Havasu city guidelines differ from the county guidelines
Yes, ma'am.
as far as manufacturing definitions and storage?
Yes, so
Okay.
the city of Lake Havasu is their own jurisdiction. They have their own zoning ordinance, and are regulated by that.
Okay, thank you.
Good
Any
question.
other commissioner comments? Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 12, call to the public. Do we have anyone wishing to address the board? Call to the public. Okay, hearing or seeing none. Request for a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
One second. Just to be clear as well, Commissioner Martin, if you did rezone a property for CMO, which is commercial manufacturing, open lot storage, and you wanted it to just be a storage facility, you do have the option to condition the property to only allow for storage and not the other uses, if that's something that you wanted to condition the property to. But then it would only be used for that one use. And if it ever is sold, they would either have to come back to us if they wanted to do something different, or they could use it for that open lot storage.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to be clear on what our recommendation would open the door for.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Got a motion by Commissioner Gillette for adjournment. Do I have a second?
I'll second again.
Second by Commissioner Abbott. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.